This veteran was outnumbered and surrounded, but his one phone call changed the entire situation. Before we dive into this incredible tale, we ask you to take a moment and subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us and is the only way to help stories like this, stories of courage, resilience, and the human spirit, reach more people. Every subscription fuels our passion and allows us to continue bringing these powerful narratives to life. So please, hit that subscribe button now. Deep in the heart of a war-torn land, the air was thick with tension. A lone figure knelt among the rubble, his breath heavy, his heart pounding. He was a veteran, outnumbered and surrounded by shadows of danger. The world around him was chaotic, a symphony of gunshots and distant cries for help. In that moment, he felt the weight of despair, the crushing realization that hope was fleeting. But as he sat there, adrenaline coursing through his veins, his mind raced. He was not just a soldier, he was a brother, a son, a friend. The memories of laughter, of family dinners and quiet evenings flooded his thoughts, grounding him in the chaos. With trembling hands, he reached for his phone, knowing that this single call could change everything. The stakes were high, but so was his resolve. He had one chance to turn the tide, and he was determined to fight for it. As the dust settled around Captain Elias Ghost, Kincaid, a haunting silence fell over the battlefield. The air, once filled with the cacophony of gunfire, now echoed only the heavy thump of his heart. He glanced at the remaining members of his team, their faces pale, eyes wide with fear. They were outgunned and outnumbered, and the realization hung over them like a dark cloud. The insurgents had them cornered, a relentless tide of menace that surged closer with every passing moment. "What do we do now?" whispered Jamal, a young soldier with barely a year of experience. His voice trembled, betraying the bravado he had tried to maintain. Elias could see the uncertainty etched on his face, a mirror of his own thoughts. "Stay low and keep your heads down," Elias replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. He felt a weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders, the lives of his team resting squarely in his hands. "We need a way out." Around them, the remnants of a once vibrant marketplace lay in shambles. The stalls that had once overflowed with color and life were now mere shadows, empty and abandoned. A stray dog wandered through the debris, sniffing at the remnants of long-forgotten meals, its eyes filled with a haunting sorrow. Shopkeepers had fled, leaving behind only echoes of laughter and the clatter of pots that once served delicious meals. Across the street, a group of children huddled together, their wide eyes peering from behind a crumbling wall. They watched with a mix of fear and curiosity, whispering among themselves. "What's it waiting for?" one of them mused, glancing at the dog, which seemed to sense the danger in the air. Elias's heart ached at the sight of them. Memories of his own childhood flickered through his mind, moments filled with laughter, safety, and the warmth of family. But here, amidst the chaos, innocence was overshadowed by fear. He had to do something, not just for his team, but for these children who deserved a future free from terror. Just then, a sharp crack echoed through the air, followed by the frantic shuffling of feet. The insurgents were moving closer, their voices a menacing symphony of threats and laughter. Elias knew that time was running out. "Elias!" Jamal's voice broke through his thoughts, panic evident. "They're coming!" Taking a deep breath, Elias reached for his phone, heart racing as he scrolled through his contacts. He hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at him. He hadn't spoken to Rana in years. The memories of their shared past, moments of danger and survival, flooded back, but so did the pain of unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Yet, he had no other choice. "Call her," he muttered to himself, his fingers trembling as he dialed her number. Would she even answer? Would she remember him? The line rang, each tone echoing his desperation. "Hello?" Her voice came through, clear and confident, but laced with surprise. "Rana, it's Elias." He could hear the rustling of fabric, the sound of her slipping away from whatever she was doing. "I need your help. I'm surrounded." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Elias could imagine her processing the gravity of the situation. "I'm listening," she finally replied, her voice now steady, filled with a resolve that ignited a flicker of hope within him. "I'm in the marketplace. Insurgents, they're closing in fast. I need a way out, and I need it now." "Stay calm, Elias," she instructed, her tone soothing yet urgent. "I have contacts in the area. You need to trust me." As she spoke, Elias glanced around, assessing the shadows that loomed closer. The insurgents were emboldened, their laughter ringing out like a death knell. He could almost feel their eyes on him, hunting him down like prey. "Rana, I don't know how much time we have," he urged, his voice tight with fear. "Listen carefully," she said, her voice transforming into a beacon of clarity amidst the chaos. "There's a back alley 2 blocks to your right. Head there, and I'll guide you through the safest route. Can you do that?" "Yes," he breathed, a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. "I can do this." "Good. You're not alone, Elias. Just keep moving." With that, Elias turned to his team, now huddled in a tight cluster, eyes wide and fearful. "We have a chance," he said, trying to instill courage in them, though he felt the same fear gnawing at his insides. "We're moving. Follow me." As they ducked low and began to maneuver through the wreckage, Jamal's voice broke through the tension. "What if they see us?" "We'll stay low and stick to the shadows," Elias replied, though doubt crept in. "Rana's guiding us." The group moved quickly, their breaths shallow, each step echoing the urgency of their escape. The distant shouts of the insurgents grew louder, their voices a chilling reminder of the danger that lurked just beyond the rubble. "Elias, now!" Rana's voice crackled through the phone, breaking his concentration. "You're almost there, just a few more steps." He could hear the rustle of movement behind them, the sounds of boots pounding the ground. Time was slipping away, and with it, their chance for survival. "Go! Go!" Elias urged, adrenaline surging as they sprinted down the narrow alley. They could hear angry shouts behind them, the insurgents closing in fast. As they reached the alley's end, the world opened up into a desolate street, one that felt like a lifeline. But it was the glimmer of hope that came from Rana's voice that truly propelled them forward. "Turn left, now," she commanded, and without hesitation, they followed her instructions, knowing that their survival depended on this one call, the call that had changed everything. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. Each step was a testament to their determination, a silent promise to fight against the odds. The shadows of the past whispered around them, but this time, hope shone brighter than fear. And as they raced towards an uncertain future, they knew they were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for the chance to reclaim the laughter and love that had been all but lost in the chaos of war. With Rana's guidance, they would navigate through the darkness, illuminating their path with the light of trust forged through shared struggles. Together, they would defy the odds, and together, they would survive. As Elias and his team dashed down the alley, their hearts raced in sync with the pounding of their feet against the cracked pavement. The air was thick with fear, but also with an unexpected rush of hope. Each turn they took under Rana's guidance felt like a step closer to salvation. But just as they rounded a corner, a sudden realization struck Elias like a thunderclap. The reality of their situation didn't just hinge on their escape. It was about the very fabric of alliances and enmities that defined their lives. "Elias!" Rana's voice crackled through the phone, urgency threading her words. "You need to be cautious. There's something you don't know." "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart sinking as he skidded to a halt. The team followed suit, confusion etched on their faces. "There's a local militia operating in your area," she continued, her tone serious. "They've been working with the insurgents." Elias's stomach dropped. "Are you saying they might be working against us?" "Yes," she confirmed, her voice a whisper of dread. "You must tread carefully. Some of them could be waiting for you in the next street." Panic surged within him, mingling with disbelief. How could this be? The thought that the very people they'd hoped could help them might turn against them was a bitter pill to swallow. He turned to his team, the fear reflected in their eyes mirroring his own. He had always viewed the locals as potential allies, but now that perception was shattered. "Rana, how do we know who to trust?" he pressed, his frustration bubbling over. "I'll do my best to guide you," she assured him. "But you must be vigilant. Listen for the signs, conversations in hushed tones, sudden movements that don't fit the situation. You have to rely on your instincts." Elias clenched his jaw, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on him. They were not just running from the insurgents, they were also running into a minefield of alliances that could turn lethal at any moment. As they turned down another narrow street, a flicker of movement caught Elias's eye. A group of men was gathered by a crumbling wall, their expressions serious and their bodies tense. Instinctively, Elias dropped lower, urging his team to do the same. "That's them," he whispered, pointing discreetly. "The militia." "Are they armed?" Jamal asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, and they're watching for us," Elias replied, his heart thundering in his chest. "We need to bypass them quietly." But as they edged away from the corner, a shout rang out. "Over here! They're running!" The realization hit like a freight train. They had been spotted. The militia had turned their attention toward Elias and his team, their faces morphing into a mix of hostility and determination. "Run!" Elias shouted, adrenaline surging through him. They dashed further down the street, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind them. "Rana, what now?" he barked into the phone, urgency lacing his voice. "Head toward the old train station," she directed, her voice sharp and clear. "It's abandoned, but it could provide cover. I'll try to rally support from those who can really help you." "Support? Who can we trust?" he asked, desperation creeping into his tone. "Trust me," she replied firmly, her conviction cutting through the chaos. "I'll do whatever it takes to get you out." As they sprinted toward the station, Elias's mind raced. He had fought alongside locals before, shared meals, and forged bonds in the heat of battle, but now those memories felt tainted. Could he truly rely on anyone here? Would the people he once tried to protect turn against him? They reached the train station, its rusted exterior a grim reminder of the past. The door creaked as they pushed it open, and they slipped inside, hearts pounding and breaths heavy. "Where do we go from here?" Jamal panted, his eyes darting around the dimly lit interior. "Let's find cover," Elias instructed, using the shadows to their advantage. "Rana said she'd send help, but we need to be ready." As they hid behind an old freight car, Elias felt the weight of his decisions pressing down on him. Would they be safe here? And what if the militia arrived first? Suddenly, a voice broke through the silence, one that sent chills down Elias's spine. "Elias Kincaid?" Elias's heart raced as he turned to face the source of the voice. Emerging from the darkness was a figure he never expected to see, a familiar face from his past. It was Farid, a former comrade who had fought alongside him years ago. "Farid, what are you doing here?" Elias exclaimed, a mix of relief and suspicion flooding him. "I've come to help," Farid said, his expression serious. "But you need to understand, things have changed. The lines between friend and foe have blurred. I can't guarantee your safety." Elias narrowed his eyes, struggling to process this unexpected twist. "Are you saying you're not with the militias?" "I'm not with anyone anymore," Farid replied, his voice strained. "After the last conflict, I realized that the fight isn't just against the insurgents. It's against the very systems that pit us against each other. I've been trying to help those in need, but it's dangerous." "Why should we trust you?" Elias pressed, the weight of his team's safety resting heavily on his shoulders. "Because I know what it's like to be caught in the crossfire," Farid responded, his eyes earnest. "And because I want to help. You and I, we fought for something greater once. We can do that again." Elias's mind raced. Could he let go of his preconceived notions? Could he trust a man who had once fought on the opposite side of a conflict, even if for the right reasons? "Rana sent you?" Elias asked, searching for a connection that could bridge the gap of mistrust. "Yes, she's working hard to protect you," Farid said, urgency creeping into his tone. "But we don't have much time. The militia will be here soon. And if they find you, it won't just be your lives at stake. Elias weighed the options, the gravity of the situation pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. In that moment, he realized that survival depended not just on physical escape, but on challenging the very biases that had shaped his worldview. "Okay," he said finally, his voice steady. "We'll trust you. But we need a plan, and we need to move fast." Farid nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. "Follow me. But remember, the only way we survive is together. We'll have to confront our past to shape a better future." As they slipped into the shadows, Elias felt the weight of his decisions shift. In that moment, alliances were formed not just out of necessity, but out of a shared understanding of the complexities of humanity, the very thing that war sought to unravel. Together, they would navigate this dangerous terrain, united by a common goal: survival, redemption, and perhaps a chance to reclaim the laughter and love that had once been lost. As Elias, Farid, and his team slipped further into the shadows of the old train station, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Every sound, every distant shout, was a stark reminder of the danger closing in around them. Elias glanced at Farid, whose presence had reignited a flicker of hope within him, but the weight of doubt still hung in the air. "Where do we go from here?" Jamal whispered, his voice quivering as he peered through the cracked windows of the dilapidated structure. "There's an escape route through the maintenance tunnels," Farid replied, his voice low yet firm. "It leads to the outskirts of the city. It's risky, but it's our best shot." Elias felt a surge of determination. "Then let's move. We don't have time to waste." As they navigated through the dimly lit corridors, adrenaline coursed through Elias's veins. Each step felt like a leap of faith, not just in their physical escape, but in the fragile alliance he was forging with Farid. The past was a heavy burden, filled with memories of battles fought and lives lost. But now it felt like a shared experience that could unite them against a common enemy. Suddenly, a cacophony of voices erupted outside the station, the militia searching for them. Elias's heart dropped. This was it, the moment of truth. Would they escape? Or would they fall victim to the very distrust they were trying to overcome? "Stay close," Elias instructed, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We move as one. No one gets left behind." As they entered the narrow maintenance tunnel, the darkness enveloped them. It was a stark contrast to the chaos outside, a place where fear could be silenced, if only for a moment. Elias felt the weight of his team's breaths, their fear palpable, but he also sensed their growing trust in him and in Farid. "Elias, I know this is hard," Farid said quietly as they moved through the darkness. "But if we get out of this, we need to rebuild what was lost. We can't let the past dictate our future." Elias nodded, his heart heavy with the realization of what rebuilding truly meant. It wasn't just about survival. It was about understanding, forgiveness, and the courage to challenge ingrained biases. Emerging from the tunnel, they found themselves in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The moonlight filtered through the broken windows, casting eerie shadows that danced across the concrete floor. For the first time, Elias felt a flicker of hope, a chance to turn the tide. "Rana!" Farid called, his voice echoing in the vast emptiness. Moments later, she materialized from the shadows, flanked by a small group of local resistance fighters. Elias's heart swelled at the sight of her. In that moment, the weight of their shared history felt lighter, overshadowed by the urgency of their present circumstances. "Elias," she said, her voice filled with relief, "I was worried you wouldn't make it. We have to act fast. The militia isn't far behind." "Thank you for coming," Elias replied, gratitude flooding his voice. "But we need a plan." Rana stepped forward, determination etched on her face. "We'll set up a diversion to draw them away. Then, we'll escort you and your team to safety through the back roads. It won't be easy, but we can make it." As they strategized, Elias felt the weight of their collective resolve. Here they were, once divided by conflict and mistrust, now united by a common goal. The lines that had once separated them were beginning to blur, revealing the humanity that lay beneath. "Let's do this," Elias said, feeling the fire of camaraderie ignite within him. Together. The tension in the air transformed into a shared sense of purpose. As they prepared for the diversion, Elias's mind flashed back to the children he had seen in the marketplace. He thought of their innocence and the future they deserved. This was more than just a mission. It was a chance to rewrite the narrative of their lives. As the diversion began, explosions echoed in the distance, a calculated chaos that drew the militia's attention. Elias's heart raced as they moved through the back routes, each step a testament to their courage. "Keep moving," he urged, leading his team alongside Rana and the resistance fighters. Just as they reached the outskirts of the city, a sudden gunfire erupted behind them. Elias spun around, adrenaline surging as he saw the militia advancing, their faces twisted in rage. "Go! We'll hold them off!" Farid shouted, positioning himself in front of Elias and the others. "No! We can't leave you!" Elias protested, but Farid's firm gaze silenced him. "It's the only way. You must survive. We've already lost too much." Elias's heart broke at the sacrifice, but he knew that to honor Farid's bravery, they had to escape. "Thank you," he whispered, sincerity pouring from his heart. With one last glance back, Elias and the team sprinted toward safety, the sounds of chaos fading behind them. As they reached a small clearing, the weight of their survival settled over them like a heavy shroud. "We did it!" Jamal exclaimed, breathless with relief, but Elias knew their journey was far from over. As they regrouped, Elias turned to Rana, gratitude and admiration shining in his eyes. "You saved us. You all did." Rana smiled, but there was a heaviness in her expression. "This isn't just about survival anymore, Elias. It's about rebuilding trust and understanding. We can't forget what brought us here, but we can learn from it." In that moment, Elias understood the power of connection. Their survival was not just about escaping danger. It was about forging bonds that transcended the boundaries of culture and conflict. Together, they could rewrite their stories, change the narrative of their lives, and reclaim the laughter and love that had been lost. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Elias felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would carry the scars of their past, but those scars would not define them. They had each other, and together, they would heal. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. As the sun rose, illuminating a new day, Elias knew their fight was far from over. But for the first time, he felt hope. A hope that was fueled by trust, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of humanity. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead, united in their quest for peace and understanding. And in that unity, they would find the strength to overcome the shadows of their past and embrace a brighter future.